Well, anyway,
That's
good morning.
amazing.
Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to Vision Expo's Coffee Talk. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Terrence Lackerin. I am the Director of Partnerships and Programming for the Vision Council and Vision Expo shows. And on behalf of Vision Council, Vision Expo, and all of my panelists, we want to welcome you to our Eye to Eye series, Coffee Talk. So hopefully you brought your hot or cold or some kind of beverage of choice. I know my panelists did as well. Before we get content and meet our panelists as well as our moderator, just a few housekeeping initiatives to talk about. You can see that we chose to use Zoom software. And the reason why we chose to use Zoom is because of what you see here, our little Hollywood square industry. We can see each other, we can talk with each other. You can use the chat box to shout each other out. It really gives a community feel, especially because we probably haven't seen each other in almost 9 months now. But please go ahead and feel free to use all the features of Zoom. The only thing we ask is that if you're not a panelist or speaking, please keep your microphone on mute if you're panelist. So that way there's no interference. So please do that, keep microphone on mute. Now, if you would like to ask a question, we encourage it. So go ahead and use the chat box, type your questions in. Erinn and the panelists will be looking at the chat box and answering questions. And we may not be able to get to everyone. Or if you'd like to ask a live question, you could use the raise your hand feature. That is, you do that is you go to the bottom of your screen, you hit the participants tab and hit raise your hand, and the little blue hand will pop up and we know to call on you. We'll unmute your microphone and you can join the conversation. Now, for any reason that we get disconnected, please just go ahead and log off and then log back in about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, if we are still not up and running, you will receive a personal email letting you know another date and time we postpone this event.
Okay.
Now that all that housekeeping is out of the way, I'm very excited about this topic. If you know anything about this industry, you can't bump into just one person with the same last name. There's so many husbands and wives and family in this industry, so we decided to tackle this topic, married in optics. And I couldn't think of any better person to moderate this discussion better than Erinn Morgan. She's the editor-in-chief of the newly award-winning, again at Folio, Eyecare Business Magazine. So Erinn, good to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Terrence. It's great to be here today, and I really appreciate you inviting me to host, and I'm excited to have this conversation with these very lively folks because we've been chatting in the back end, and we've been having a lot of fun back there. So I'm excited to learn more about everyone and dig into marriage during COVID and working together at the same time. Definitely. So yes, so we called the panel discussion Married to Optics, and really, you know, looking at, you know, modern love today. Like these folks are partners in life and in business, you know, they're children, they work together. And as we all know, we've been home with our families and our spouses and our children for quite some time now. And it's been a journey for sure. So we want to kind of check in with these really highly unique couples who also happen to work together in vision care and eye care, and talking about everything today from coping strategies for spending so much time together right now that we're all doing, in addition to all the time at work, which is pretty impressive. And it definitely is coping strategies today, to kind of your best tips for working together successfully, you know, and really looking at love in today's world. So we welcome all of our panelists. Today we have here Scott and Amanda Shapiro, and I'm gonna just introduce everyone briefly, and then we'll ask each couple to kind of briefly, you know, introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about how they met and how they got into working together. But we have Scott and Amanda Shapiro from Europa and State Optical. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for joining us. We have Dr. Lamont T. Bunyon and Dr., please pardon me if I didn't pronounce this correctly, Mesheca.
Mesheca, yeah.
Mesheca, thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Lamont and Dr. Mesheca Bunyon from Special Eye Care in Camp Springs, Maryland. So welcome, and thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Today. And then we also have here Dr. Satti. Is that how I say it? Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, of course, Satti. Yeah.
Great. And then your wife is Dr. Mona Sood. And they have 4 practices. Is that correct, in Chicago area?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate that you're here. And I'd just like to start off with Scott and Amanda, since you guys are right here to my side on Zoom on our Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
You know, can you tell us a little bit about how you guys came to work to meet, and how did you come to work together at your business today?
Sure. So I think the story really has to start with like in optics, right? It's going to start with Scott. Like I really am more just like a person that loves to like help. So like if you have a project or if you have a problem, I'm like, oh, can I help you with that? So I think I just got in really deep in the optical world.
She never stopped helping.
Yeah, right. It just kept going.
She never stopped helping.
Eventually, like, we should probably pay this person.
Yeah, right. It took a long
so
time.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
I grew up in the eyewear business. My parents founded Europa back in 1977. So I was very much, and I'm an only child. So I was very much entrenched in this industry from a very young age, since birth. And, but I wasn't working full time in this business when Amanda and I met. As a matter of fact, we both met in a comedy writing class at Second City here in Chicago. And,
Really?
Yeah. And so
No wonder you guys are so funny.
we're still working on it. We never graduated from that class.
Don't look at our portfolios or anything.
We're still waiting for Saturday Night Live to call. So but what Amanda said is partially true, because back in about 2014, when we were getting ready to launch State, we were taking on responsibilities that were well beyond the capabilities of anybody that worked here. No offense to anybody that was on our team, but they were certainly beyond my capabilities. And Amanda really had a lot of the skills that we needed. And so by that time, I think we were already married.
Yeah, like we loved each other and stuff.
We had already decided that we wanted to hang out together anyway.
Yeah, right.
And but I remember specifically we were going to hire an outside marketing team, and we were going to invest far more than we had ever invested before. It was a massive project for us. And I remember Amanda, and I was just planning to like look up the 2 biggest firms in Chicago and hire one of them. And Amanda was like, well, you are going to send out an RFP, right? And I remember literally saying, I have no idea what an RFP is. And she was hired.
She was hired.
Yeah, right.
Nice work.
For free.
Yeah,
And I definitely put the time in. But,
and we've been working together ever since. And now she's the vice president of marketing. And we joke, but her contribution is intense now. It's a huge part of our company. I mean intense too, as her husband.
Whatever. Okay.
I love it. That is such an awesome story. I love that you met in comedy writing class. That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
And you guys really actually are very funny. So it's a good combo. You must have a good sense of humor at home, which is great.
That's maybe the most important thing. In our experience, if you want to work together with people that you love, you have to be able to laugh.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. So true. And you guys are you live just outside of Chicago, and you have 1 child. Is that correct?
Yeah, this has been a subject of debate in our household this past week, because our 5-year-old just started getting really cute, like he's starting to read, like he finally like.
He's been pretty cute for a long time, but he's really starting to like max out now.
Fire on all cylinders.
Ultimate cuteness.
Right. But now he's probably still in the only child camp. Like he introduces himself at like T-ball. He's introducing himself like teammates and goes, "Hi, I'm Alan Shapiro, and I'm an only child."
I love it.
I don't want to mess with that.
That is awesome. Well, thanks you guys. That was fantastic. I love seeing a slice into your life. So I'm gonna move next to Dr. Lamont Bunyon and Dr. Mescheca Bunyon at Special Eye Care in Maryland. So can you two, you guys are awesome. Can you two please tell us a little bit about how you met as optometrists and came to be in practice together?
There you go. Okay. So Lamont and I met in September of 1998. We actually met as interns at Capital Eye Consultants in Fairfax, Virginia. I went to PCO, the Pennsylvania College of Optometry back then, now Salus University, and Lamont went to New Inco. So we just happened to meet on an internship, and the surprising thing is I went to school, of course, in Philly. Lamont is from Philly, but went to school in Boston. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So, and I'm sure he has more to add to that.
What's a better town? Do you know? Did you decide? Like Philly or Boston? Did you decide the better town?
My hometown is Philly, and the Pennsylvania College of Optometry was right down the street from my house. I didn't want to wave to my neighbors and cousins, so I went to Boston.
I respect that. I respect that.
I love it.
So,
But you guys ended up in Maryland.
Yeah, we're in Maryland now.
Yes.
Because, well, Fairfax is right across the bridge, maybe about probably about 45 minutes from where we live now. So after that internship, of course, we had a couple more. I ended up going home to Richmond, Virginia for a little bit after graduation and decided I didn't want to stay home, especially not in my mom's house. So, and I was dating Lamont, who was in DC. So I decided to come to Maryland, not even having a job. And we had apartments right down the street from each other. And we've been together just about ever since then.
That's amazing. So how
you
long
guys
has
now
Special?
know she chased me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what they always say.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know.
So how long have you been in practice there?
About what, 15?
The practice has been here 15 years, and we've been in practice as optometrists for 21 years.
Wow, amazing. So, and you're is one location in Camp Springs, Maryland.
Right. Camp Springs is where Joint Base Andrews is, so everybody can kind of get an idea. Right. We're about a half a mile from where the base is, and just one location. Yes.
Gotcha. Fantastic. And I saw you pop up on your Zoom. It looks like you have a couple of kids together. Is that? Yeah. It looks like your profile picture had your kids up there.
Are the rumors true?
we have two little boys. Well, actually not so little. We have a 16-year-old named Micah and a 13-year-old named Madden, who are probably not watching this because they are in school on Zoom right now.
Well, that's where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. We're all speaking theoretically when it comes to virtual learning, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks you guys. That was super fun. And it's great to get to know a little bit more about you and your practice and your family. Thanks for joining us. So, and then I'll move to Dr. Sarai. And I know that Mona, your wife, is coming. She's joining us shortly, but maybe can you give us a little bit of background on kind of how the two of you met? I know you have a couple of practices outside of Chicago. And how did you come to practice together?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the invite, Erinn and Terrence. Appreciate it, and glad to be talking along with the other guests here. So Mona and I, we were both ODs. We met at University of California, Berkeley, the School of Optometry, where we graduated. And yeah, we met first day of school. Mona was going the wrong way, so I had to turn her around and kind of guide her to the right room where all the orientation was starting, and that was kind of a little a sneak peek into our lives of kind of our strengths and weaknesses. But no, we met first day. We have a lot in common, and you know, we just became really good friends throughout optometry school. And yeah, we started dating a little bit later on towards graduation, and you know, after graduation we got married, and started to decide to practice together.
That's amazing. So, and do you two, how did you end up in Chicago from Berkeley?
Yeah, so I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia myself. I was born and raised there. Mona's from Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago, where she was born and raised as well. After Berkeley, we didn't really have a specific plan. We did want to live in a city, and we thought downtown Chicago would be nice. So we just started living downtown Chicago and start practicing in different clinics. And within a year and a half, there was a private practice for sale that Mona and I thought was a really good fit for us. It's in the city, and that's kind of where we started our practice. So the practice is about 50 years old. Mona and I have been practicing for 17 years. And from that first location in the city, we now have 4 offices all in the city. And it's gone really well.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Hey, Erinn.
Yes.
Hey, perfect timing. Mona just walked into the room, so we can unmute her, and she can tell.
Awesome. Hi, Mona. Welcome.
Hello. Sorry for the delay there.
No worries. Thank you for joining us.
So I thought you were going to stand me up.
I could have done it a long time ago.
It looks like you're at home and your husband's at work.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah.
Awesome. So we just went through and kind of welcomed everyone and had everyone kind of tell us a little bit about, and your husband just had finished telling us a little bit about how you two met at Berkeley, and then how you ended up kind of practicing in Chicago. And we had, the other panelists had kind of gone through the same, telling us a little bit about their background. And I was just about to ask, and maybe you can give us your perspective too, kind of on how you met and came to work together, but then also what's your family, we had just asked everyone, what's your family scenario, so we can get a picture of, like, how, we're all going through difficult times, right? So you guys have kids, I know too. And obviously there's a lot to manage with a business and kids and lots of things going on. So can you tell us just a little bit about your view for how you two met and came to work together, and then your family situation and where you live? You live outside of Chicago.
Sure. So Dr. Sarai, Satti, and I met, we met 21 years ago. So it was our first day at school, at optometry school, and it happened to be that we were looking for the same class in a stairwell, and we recognized we were looking for the same class, and then we, joined together, met each other, joined together, went to the same class. So I'm just still shocked that 21 years later we're in it and living this out every day. So it's been quite a journey. He's from Canada, Vancouver, Canada. He might have mentioned that. I am from Chicago. And so we decided to, after graduation, to decide to come back to Chicago. And so, nice. Yeah, so to our hometown, we thought that would be short term. We thought we would get back to California or West Coast, but we ended up staying and have, I think a beautiful family with 3 kids and 4 offices in Chicago. And so, yeah, that's kind of our story. First day, we had a lot of, the same classes. And so we became friends before we, got involved. And so we had common studied together for everything, common profession, common friends, common culture. And so that's our story.
Mona,
great.
Yeah.
Before you got on, he walked through the orientation story, but he represented you as walking the wrong way. So
I can test.
Amanda's snitching.
She would have been late for the first class.
I know.
Just like she was late today.
I feel like it's appropriate for women in these couples to stick together, because yesterday when we had a little tech pre-pro, only the wives showed up. That's it. Like, only the wives showed up. Apparently all of the husbands were too busy to jump into the call. But like, meanwhile, both of them, Mescheca and Mona, were in the car at some point during the call. So
yeah, we were driving.
too busy. Amazing.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, definitely multitaskers. We had.
I love it. I see, Scott, you're not getting away with much over there.
Yeah, could you imagine what it must be like? Satti can't even get away with 5 minutes of a small story. Imagine what it must be like for me on a daily basis.
That woman is going to keep you on your toes. I love it.
That's for sure.
Awesome.
I said, after I met her yesterday, I said, oh, we are going to be friends.
Exactly. It's good stuff.
I do want to
really
say something about that story. Just of course, I think I was going the right way, but my kids also take his side. So I think that they understand my sense of direction is not always on point. So
I know how that goes.
Right.
I know how that goes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So how old are your kids? What ages?
our kids are 9, 11, and 12.
Okay.
So very close together in ages. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually going to lead to my next question. So I'm here I work at home now, obviously, like everyone else, and we have been traveling to shows and whatnot. And my husband also works at home, so we don't work in business together, but now we work at home together all the time. And our daughter is 11, well, she's 10, she's going to be 11 tomorrow. It's her birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's been doing remote schooling all last year, and now she's on to a hybrid. She's going to a smaller charter school for middle school, and she's doing a 2-day a week. Her cohort's only 10 kids. There's only 20 kids in her whole grade there for the day, so that we felt fortunate to have that situation. But can you tell us, and maybe we'll go back and start with Scott and Amanda again, but can you tell us a little bit about your coping strategies? You know, obviously we all got kids, right? And it's adding the education and the remote learning. And, you know, my daughter and I sit down every morning and we go through her whole Google Classroom, and she's, you know, teaching her how to make her list of things to do. But that's one child, and you know, some of you have 2 or 3, so that adds a whole layer of difficulty for sure. So starting with Scott and Amanda, can you guys tell us just a little bit about, you know, what's your coping strategy for spending so much time together during the pandemic at work and at home, and managing your child? You know, do you have family nearby that can help, that's helping? I know you got your folks there, Scott, probably not too far away. So what's kind of, you know, how are you guys coping with the situation and being together so much?
Yeah, it was, I think for everybody, it was a really dark spring, right? Like the spring of 2020 was emotionally traumatic, right? I remember like really early on getting on the phone with my best girlfriend Tia, and her just making it very clear that like now is not also the time for self-improvement. So if somebody's making sourdough on your Instagram, ignore that. Like it's just
exactly,
yeah, keep up with it, you know. So like
just survive.
Yeah, right. So
right.
Like,
just surviving is an accomplishment.
Yeah, right. We're like slowly like kind of, you know, thawing out from that kind of paralysis that happened in, you know, like in March and April. But it's, I would say like a combination of like aggressively lowering our standards for education and just yeah,
exercise and nutrition.
Yeah, lowering all of those standards. So
I think
totally.
One thing that we experienced is I think one of the things that works really well with us that we've learned is that you have to set expectations. Like we have to both understand what our responsibilities are at home with our son and in business, and set those expectations, because when those expectations aren't set in our busy lives, that's when we start to disagree, because one person just expects that the other person is going to do something sometimes. And then one thing that really happened with COVID is it shook our world up. So all of a sudden, that routine, those responsibilities that we had already kind of like divided out, got all shaken up. I was still going to the office every day. Amanda kind of had to be home with Alan, our son, and that was not our normal routine. Like, that really wasn't making us happy. Like, we didn't like that. You know? And add on top of that, the fact that, you know, we're watching the news, we're scared of the virus, we're scared for our family and friends, and we're scared for our business. I'm going into the office every day, talking with lawyers and bankers and all the people I don't want to talk, I never want to talk to, and talking about, you know, the health of our business and the health of our team and the financial security of our team. And so these are really heavy topics, and I'm coming home, and Amanda is also, you know, dealing with incredible extra stress because she's at home with our son and trying to work. Yeah. And it was really very challenging.
I think especially early on, like, you know, Alan, our son Alan, was, you know, he was like, oh, rad, cool, it's a at-home day. You know, he wasn't just like, I have a program for school.
He was young enough that it didn't matter. He was cool with it.
And it was, I timed it, or I like made little check marks, and there was a period where anytime I would start a sentence, he would interrupt it at every sentence. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy on like a conference call or whatever.
Yeah, he does not like to let us work.
Oh, that is maybe some of that. I gotta get him into that only child behavioral boot camp or something.
Is there such a thing?
I don't know.
I think we're supposed to be that boot camp. One thing that did work for us though, is, you know, everybody, like yourself, Erinn, everybody was talking about the new challenge of having to work at home with their spouse and like spending so much time together. Well, for Amanda and I was like, welcome to the club. You know, I mean, we've been attached to the hip for the last 5 years anyway. So that part.
You guys had a benefit that you knew how to fly through that already.
Yeah,
you know, to some extent.
Yeah.
It definitely was a whole new world. Like when I wasn't ever gone anymore, you know, or one of us wasn't ever traveling anymore. I mean, it's just, you could get a little bit of alone time. You could kind of get a little bit of, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, so they say, right? But now it's like.
Well, Scott did travel a ton, and he also like dressed up a bunch. And now he does not. Like, this is like, he's wearing like a $6 t-shirt.
$6.
And, like, a jacket. But like,
hey, you know, it's the new normal.
Yeah, all of his clothes went from like dry clean only, you know, which got sent out, right? Like, I don't dry clean in my house, like it goes to somebody else that does the dry cleaning, right? To sweatpants, which are like, men's sweatpants take such a high percentage of the space inside of a washing machine. It's crazy. Like, this is
like 3 pair.
So whatever.
It's true. It was like a total pivot. And then not to mention, I mean, and certainly for everyone else here, our other panelists, this amount of business stress on top of everything else. How do we survive? We're, you know, being shut down. You know, that was a horrific time. You know, it still is so difficult, but it's, at least we know where maybe we're headed, you know, a little bit better than we certainly did in March and April and even May. So, you know, kudos to all of you folks for, you know, making it happen and hanging in there and pulling your business up by the bootstraps and kept going, because it's brutal. And we saw, you know, we've been tracking the numbers of practices across the country. So we, you know, it was like over a 90% drop in business in you know, May. So that affects everybody, you know, in a very, very big way. So well, thank you guys so much. And I appreciate you being so honest. That's just really, you know, and we're all dealing with it, right? And it's like, it's so real for everyone. So I just want to move on to Lamont and Mesheca. So can you two tell us a little bit about how you kind of, you know, coped through this? You've obviously, you were used to working together, so you've done that, but obviously not used to homeschooling your kids together. and dealing with the pressures of business and closures and reopening and all of that stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about how you coped and what you found worked for you folks?
So the number one thing that we did to cope was I started making dates. One was making time to date Mesheca. So just time for us to eat together and outdoors, to still have a sense of normalcy. Actually, we date our kids. We do TikTok videos with the 13-year-old. Don't go looking for them. You won't find them. And then with the 16-year-old, we talk about college. Yeah. So the biggest thing to cope was to find time one-on-one, you know, so that was the big thing.
That's smart.
And I would also add that I would say the first maybe 3 weeks of this whole pandemic, from the end of March through, you know, the second or third week in April, we were both home all the time. You know, there was a little bit of time where Lamont would come to the office to make sure things were, you know, people still had to pick up their glasses and contacts and things like that. But I think it was just a time that we actually spent together that we just hadn't done anything like that in years. You know, I got to clean out closets and see parts of my house that were messy because I hadn't really had the time to take care of that, and, you know, and also to spend time with the kids, catch up with our family members. We did a lot of Zoom calls with family. So personally, I enjoyed the downtime. I enjoyed not having to get up to go to work.
She likes Zoom calls. She's
Yeah,
addicted to Zoom. Somebody get her.
Happy hours on Zoom with the girlfriends. I mean, it was, yeah.
One of us loves Zoom. The other one, no.
But I really think
love
that
it.
we needed that sort of downtime. Although Lamont and I work in an office together, we also work separately because I work with an ophthalmology practice as well. So for me, I just enjoyed that downtime.
Really cool.
I hear you, and I felt the same way too. You know, as much as we and Terrence and I were always at all of the shows and the international shows together, and so we kind of, you know, had a big travel schedule. But honestly, it's hard to believe, like, the last trip was February, you know, came home February 1st,
Yeah.
right, from the Vision Council Executive Summit. And, you know, here we've been, but it has been so nice to be here for my family, to be here for my daughter, to actually be involved to that level with her schoolwork and to see what she's working on and how she's doing. And I've kind of enjoyed that too, for sure. I wouldn't mind like a night in a hotel by myself, a spa treatment, but I'm holding out for that.
Yes.
Turn down service.
Yes. So, and how have you two coped with like the schooling thing and your kids? You know, how's that been working out?
Well, you know, I guess the end of last year, it was a mess. You know, the schools weren't, there was no organization, not enough organization for me in terms of work that the kids had to do. So, you know, I found things online to supplement. You know, we read some articles, you know, we did other things to sort of supplement their education. Now, of course, it's a lot better. It's more structured. I try to spend usually at the end of the night or when I get home, you know, how was your day? Let's go over your Google Classroom, that type of thing. And then we always check in at around lunchtime is usually when I check in with the boys. But our 16-year-old, he has more of a college schedule. So he's not in class from 9 to 3:30 like our 8th grader, because he's doing a dual program, high school and obtaining his associate's degree. So his schedule is a little, you know, more flexible. So he's very independent.
So, so Dr. Mesheca's the nice one. I'm the one who says, you didn't do your schoolwork, and I got a note from your teacher today. You know, it's very tough, to be honest. You know, we leave our kids, we go off to work, and we have to hope that they're doing the best.
Yeah.
And we have to hold them accountable. So we're coping, we're doing our best, but you know, we have to get them through this because they have to get out my house and get into college and get jobs.
That's the goal. That's the big goal.
Off the payroll. Off the payroll.
Yes.
Well, we got a note at the end of this end of last semester, 2 weeks before school ended, about our 8-year-old, then 8-year-old, who missed 113 assignments.
What?
So had no idea, just, you know, it was just a free for all. Like he just didn't do that.
Mona, I am
Like,
so glad.
I did my work. I'm done now. Like,
Oh, he was done by 9:30 every day. Yeah.
every day.
He's like, yeah, I'm done. 9:30. I'm like, really?
Okay.
And we're like, okay, if you say
Okay. So
It's so hard. I think the platforms can be so hard to kind of decipher sometimes. too,
Yeah.
And the communication with the teachers was tough. And even this year, you know, we've been kind of having some back and forth with teachers and, you know, just kind of figuring out best ways to do things and lay things out for the kids so they actually know, you know, what's due and what's not. But I could see how, you know, I had a friend who her daughter, they said, oh, she's been absent for like 35 days or something. So she never signed herself in, you know, so it's like she was truant, you know, they were going to come pick her up. But I don't know, you know, it's just so challenging. So, okay, well, so Mona and Satti, can you tell us a little bit about you two and kind of how, you know, how does your day work? Are you usually together at work during the day, or do you kind of divide and conquer with home and work and tag team? And how does that kind of, or every day is different?
Well, I think that because we've had multi-locations, we've never, well, I shouldn't say never, but we haven't really worked in the same location for years. And so we would spend time on practice on, you know, a designated day or something like that. I think when COVID hit, then it definitely changed my role in the offices. And so I had to go to a remote environment and working, you know, with my teams, with the leaders and the managers in the offices, and working with them through these remote calls. And so it's worked out fine. It does allow me to then be involved with the kids, you know, after school. And so I think it's given us that time. And so our work has kind of naturally been divided, where he's definitely more on the patient care side of things, and I am more on the practice management and ownership side of things. And so that's how things have just naturally divided out. I think that time together during that lockdown was really, I think it was actually positive for us. And so, you know, it did, you know, force us to slow down, to reevaluate things. We had to kind of course, reevaluate all of our processes and procedures, protocols for regarding COVID. And so that took quite an effort. But yeah, it did allow us to just take time with our family, with one another, to just communicate. And I think it just allowed us to do that. I mean, it was tougher. We didn't have help. And so now we're suddenly doing everything. And it's, you know, but has forced us to just slow down and simplify life. And I think that's been definitely.
Yeah, it felt, I mean, up until the shelter in place, it felt like we were going 100 miles an hour, and that was just our norm. The kids' activities, tennis, soccer, the business, and just kind of going back and forth. And yeah, it came all to an abrupt halt, which was at first unsettling. But once Mona and I kind of got our bearings of what the plan would be for the practice, yeah, it really, you know, slowing down and just kind of focusing on what was truly important and spending that quality time together. That for sure helped me cope. You know, being removed from the normal patient care 17-year routine to have that taken away. And yeah, there was a few weeks there where we weren't really sure, how severe this was going to be and how our practices would be impacted, our patients, our staff. So, there's definitely some anxiety there, but I think once we start to see a path out of that kind of time and knowing that we had a little bit more time at home, we were able to create a lot of moments together that just would not have happened. We were bike riding more together as a family, baking more, cooking more, and really we had nowhere to go, and we can only be with each other. So it was really overall, we were able to make it a positive time period, and it definitely didn't start off that way when we were kind of going into this abyss of an unknown for our family life and business life.
Definitely. It really it really hits home when you say you were going 100 miles an hour, because I feel like everybody, right? I mean, I can't imagine there's one person here on this Zoom that wasn't going 100 miles an hour, right?
Yes.
If everybody's busy, they're doing their business, and it was like a abrupt, screeching halt. And honestly, and I'd be interested to see what you guys think, but I feel like because it was the same with our daughter. You're working all day, you're gone, you're traveling, you're flying, you're coming home, you're doing this, you're doing that. And then you're shuttling her I always used to say, I don't need a nanny, I just need a driver, it's like, you just got to get them from place to place, because they were running and it's like, there was so much stress. So, do we ever go back to that? I don't think we as a family, we're trying to pare down now, kind of even her activities and everything we were doing. So we're not going 100 miles an hour. There's a lot of silver linings through all of the crisis, in that way, for sure. So it's really interesting. And I'm glad, thank you both for your perspective on that. It's really insightful. And I think there are some wonderful things that have come out of it, being with our families more. So I just want to check in with Terrence to see, Terrence, how much time do we have left? Do I have time for another question or two? Or
about 20 minutes.
Okay, perfect. And I just wanted to shout out to everybody to please, feel free to ask questions as we're moving along, or we can ask questions at the end here. So I'm just going to keep going in order here. So I just want to ask each couple, kind of, and you've shared a lot of this, but if you could give us kind of like, best tips or, key takeaways that you want to send, our attendees home with as it relates to, your challenges and working together and, kind of love and coping in today's world. How, what would you guys say, Scott and Amanda, like what would be your best tips for everybody, or the key takeaway you'd like to send folks away with?
One that I would say is that you really, more than in other situations, you really have to be able to put ego aside. And that's probably true in any business, and it's probably good advice for any family. But one of the benefits about at least our working environment, and I think a lot of other couples that work together, is that, I don't want to take too much for granted. Knock on wood, neither of us is going to get fired. We're both staying. We both, just like in our marriage, we made an agreement that we're going to be doing this for the rest of our lives together. So once we set that baseline, then that gives us the opportunity to view our jobs and our responsibilities differently than a lot of other people. We don't have to prove ourselves every day. We're not fighting for fighting for respect or for admiration, or to try and get to a higher place, or to make sure our jobs are safe. Like, we've already set this baseline. But so as long as we can take advantage of that and sort of put our egos aside and say, like, it's not about who's right, it's not about necessarily who gets the credit or who gets blame, then it really, I think, it's a wonderful thing about working together, that we can kind of
say more like solution oriented. and also really like proactively think about the other, you know, the needs of individuals on our teams too, individuals, you know, throughout our company. We have something that I think is unique about us is, you know, we work together, we're related. His mom is my boss. Actually, I have two bosses, his mom and his babysitter, his former babysitter, like Jerry. So
sometimes he's still my baby.
Yeah, he is a little bit, yeah. But, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so like, so obviously we have a very close relationship. The four of us, Scott and I are married, but there's families throughout our organization, right? So Mark and Sarah Lee, who run our factory, are married. But in their family, you can get fired. He let go of his son, so he's rough. Yeah, right. No mistakes allowed in the factory. So,
that is some tough love.
But also, so there are families that work throughout the factory. There's families in the customer service department, in the warehouse, on our sales team. We've had a lot of like, you know, like Jill Burrows, who I saw jumped on. She had recruited her mom, who just retired, with us on the sales team. We've had family members that are, you know, sales team members that have recruited their kids.
My uncle's on the call. Yeah. He's our vice president. My cousin over the house. So like, it's, you know, we're not, our organization is well suited as much as any organization to take on the sort of unique relationships and unique both challenges and benefits of having people that, you know, in some cases have ties that go much deeper than the business itself.
Yeah, and I think in general, like if you're going to be a couple in a working environment, especially if you're like in a leadership or you're functioning in a leadership capacity, I think it's really important to hold yourselves accountable and be transparent about that too. You know, because it sends like, you know, I think it sends an important message to everybody that you're working with, that like, hey, if you make a mistake, don't hide it, you know, don't like own it, and then we can work together to figure that out. So
right, no doubt. And it's interesting you guys bring that up, because so there are, you know, many optical eyewear companies in particular that are family owned in this, and family, you know, family run in our business. So it's a unique in that way, you know, and that adds a whole other layer of, I'm with my, you know, we're going through all of this with your family, not just personally, but in business at the same time. So it's definitely challenging, but also probably very uniting, you know, in a way. At the same time, you're going through it together. Yeah. So, well, that I think is really great advice. And I loved, you know, what you guys said, that, you know, to kind of in the beginning, when you said to clearly define those expectations of who's doing what, you know, and I think that really helps in our household. Kind of, this is okay, I'm going to be the one that helps with the homework. I mean, if there's too many people trying to do everything, it's not efficient, right? And then it's confusing, and then it gets kind of crazy. So we've found that really helped here at home too, for sure. Yes. So, and then I'll move on to Drs. Lamont and Mesheca. So can you two please tell us, kind of taking a look at, you know, what would be your, you know, for our folks that are here today, you know, what would be your best tips or the key takeaway that you'd like to share, you know, from what you've learned about how best to work together, how best to kind of, you know, also get through this time, you know, as a couple?
What you guys don't see is she's tapping me saying it's time for you to talk.
Go ahead.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm on the spot. You know what? My big takeaway right now is, like I said earlier, you have to find moments of normalcy. You know, dating each other, dating your kids, just finding time. I'm trying to stay very hopeful that this is just a time that we're going through and we're going to move past it. And every single day I look more optimistically, because it's one day down. We got a spring down, we got a summer down. I'm going to knock out this fall and winter. So I just think staying positive. and keep moving. And I encourage Mesheca, she encourages me. And, you know, I think in the beginning we were really worried because we had a month where we were 85% down. It was crazy. I think it was April. Everybody, yeah, you remember I was just scared to death, right? And now it's okay. You know, if Mesheca's like, hey, I want to get something, it's okay. We have to maintain normalcy. So that would be the big message, and be positive to each other.
Yeah.
And I have a great girlfriend, so I'm in good shape.
And I guess I would also add, I know that he is sweet. I would also add, you know, if you're working together in business and in life, know your partner's strengths as well as their weaknesses. You know, I'm a hard worker, but my husband is a hard worker. So
it's the opposite over here. It's the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I thought I was a perfectionist, but my husband, he will be at the office until 11:30 at night, making sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And meanwhile, I'm like, well, you know, it's time to take a break and, you know, have to do things. You know, I'm not at home just watching Housewives on TV. I'm taking care of the kids.
But Erinn and Terrence, it's okay if I'm at work. She's on Zoom.
No, I'm not on Zoom.
Save me from the Zoom happy hours, please.
But you know, just realizing
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying, just realizing your partner's strengths and weaknesses, giving them sort of room to grow and room to spread their wings. You know, I got a chance to do some things during this whole pandemic that were small goals of mine that my husband supported. I like to write, so you know, I submitted some articles to Review of Optometric Business. You know, he was very supportive for, you know, to things like that. So just, but also just to take some time to relax from work, to just cut everything off.
I was going to say that. I think that's a super important point too, you know, and I think both of you have made incredible points and, you know, shared with the folks here. But I think that also, you know, and it's something that it's like we've all powered through, right? We've worked really hard and we've kind of pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps, but it feels like it's really important to now more than ever to do something for yourself, like to help. You got to take care of your mental health at this stage, right? You have to take care of yourself and your family, because we're like in the marathon. It's no longer the sprint. So it's critical to take care of yourself and your family. But I think it's really interesting, and you two have pointed this out, you know, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. Don't you feel like you've learned so much about each other in this time, and your family, and who people, you know, like who you are, and even yourself, you know, it's pretty incredible, like what we've all gone through, and we've all gone through it, right? So it's pretty incredible to learn more and on a deeper level about your family and your partner, for sure. Yes. So, well, thank you for those great insights. So, Mona and Satti, can you two please share with us kind of what your takeaways are here and what your best tips are for, you know, coping and working together as a couple, and especially through this time?
I also, you know, feel that at first it took us a long time to learn how to work together. That was not, you know, that was difficult because our working styles are so different. Our personalities are so different. I remember there was a consultant who administered like this extensive DISC personality profile to us. And so, you know, we got those results, and it was so, I mean, it was almost comical how opposite we were, you know, I mean, it was like complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And so there was this moment like, oh my God, now it makes sense. This is why it's so hard. And, but then, you know, you take a step back and then you realize, well, you know, she said to us, well, you actually need each other. And I think that has held true, that we, you know, his strengths my weaknesses and my strengths are his weaknesses. And we play off of that. And I think I liked what Dr. Mesheca said, is that we kind of give each other the space now. I think that's something that we've learned over time. And we kind of naturally take our own roles, is how I see it. And that's allowed us to just to grow professionally and support each other professionally and also at home. So that's
I think that's great.
I do think that the playing to each other's strengths, and also just taking time for really, like, professionally taking time, because we are so used to seeing each other as each other's spouses. And so you have to kind of schedule that time professionally to say, okay, we're going to have a meeting and we're going to talk about such and such and such. And so I think that's really important, and that's helped us to just understand where we are and what we're working on. So.
And part
that's
of
great insight.
Yeah, just that has been over the last 10 years kind of we've realized just where our strengths lie, and being able to then play to them. It's helped the practice grow in different ways. And I think what helped for me personally was just having more time at home. Before I would be in clinic all day with patients, and my day was my day. I knew Mona was at home, or she was working all day, but I think me being at home more now, or during that shelter in place, I really appreciated what Mona's days were like, just with regards to the child care, but then also all the meetings she would have with the managers, the behind the scenes support to the practice. So I think for me, it was just being home more. I could see how much Mona was doing. And I thought I was busy at work, but she was even more busy at home, and really helping the practice where we needed it. We were at a scale where we needed that CEO to really kind of provide the vision, the execution, and that wasn't my strength. And so for me, it was a time where I could appreciate, wow, this is definitely, there's a lot going on here, and just having that appreciation for your partner. And for me, that was something I took away from just being at home a little bit more for that month.
That's wonderful. It's great insight. It's so true. You really get to know the other person, but you get to understand. And I think so many of us, right? Like my husband and I are very different also in kind of the way we approach things and how I've tried to become more accepting of that, because we're together all the time, right? So you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to just take a step back and accept this person for who they are, and take the strengths and the weaknesses and all in one package. I love the marriage tip from Ruth Bader Ginsburg that I heard this week. You guys probably also heard it. She said sometimes you have to be deaf in a marriage. I thought, that's really good advice. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
That's okay.
Amanda has accused me of doing that already.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. You guys have been amazing. I did see May Huen. I don't know if May, you're still here, but she said she has a question if there's time. So Terrence, do we have time for one question here? Okay, we have like
brief answer. So can we unmute May?
Okay.
Someone in the back.
Hey there. Are you here? There we go.
I'm here.
Yay.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm May Huen. I'm the executive optician at Chart Optical here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'll be honest, I was really excited about this topic. I've actually been looking for a business partner / life partner for a few years now. And it's been a very difficult thing to navigate, I think, especially being a woman. And I find that if I network in a business fashion first, it then becomes taboo to bring up dating. And if I start with dating first, it becomes a roadblock to talking about business.
It's a weird thing on your Tinder.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not on Tinder. So I've resorted to being friends first with people that I'm interested in, kind of partnering with, and to find out more about them before getting involved in business or in romance. But I find that friendships can sometimes be void of spark or direction. So I know that pandemic life has been stressful for all of our panelists, but I think that you're like in a great place, like having that partnership and having that family, because your household is moving in one direction. So imagine all those stresses multiplied if your household has a split focus, or if you were doing it alone.
By yourself.
So
Perspective.
yeah, so good on you.
Yeah.
I think that you made a good, life choice, in my opinion. So my question is, what advice do you have for someone like me who wants what you have, wants to have what you have? Because I feel like most of the advice is like for people who already have that.
Yeah.
I'm very open-minded about what type of partner that, what role that they would have, like, to fulfill in business. Like, I just want to be on the same team. I just want to, do this life thing together and do this business thing together. It's not really a specific thing. But yeah, like, how do you find someone that wants to be on the same team in business and in family? Like, where do I start?
I think we should,
That's a great
Vision Expo match session.
Hey,
Right? There you go, Terrence.
True.
You gotta do
I think
Vision
you had
Expo
said-
match.
I think you said you're looking for somebody.
You're right. It does. There's so many more complications to it. So
Yeah.
I loved dating. I was so good at it, man. I mean, I don't date anymore. We do the thing, but like, I think I mentioned it like early on. I think a lot of, for me, like, I would definitely I would lead with like the dating side, so that it wasn't this like friend or business like taboo thing. Like I would lead with the dating side and find like some interest there, and then I would sneak into one of their projects. Like literally, I mean, this is just me, but like if they have like a problem or if they have an idea, make it a project. And you know that you're really good at projects, right? Because you can get shit done. And then you get like a little taste of what it is to work with one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can kind of flex. You can flex and you know how to do shit, okay? And then you can kind of like, just up the ante until all of a sudden you are right next to them every single day. And
It's a blessing.
yeah.
That's how she hooks you.
That's interesting. I was going to say that I actually had this as one of the pieces of advice, is that, if it's not a marriage or a married partner, it doesn't really have to be. But I do think having a partner is really helpful in business and in practice. So it happens to be that we were, in the same field already. So I really don't think, I think that's a hard combination to find, and I wouldn't put the focus there. I would put the focus on, if it is your business that you would like to have a partner for, just find a good partner, find somebody, who has a similar vision, who has similar experience, work ethic, and can really, partner with you. So I don't believe it needs to be a spouse. And a lot of people would advise against that in our cases. It looks good from the outside, and it's been a journey. It's taken us 17 years to get here, but it's not always easy. So that would be my advice is do find a business partner, but I don't think it has to be one and the same person.
Mm-hmm.
My advice, and this is how, again, Mesheca gave the sanitized story. I knew I liked her. I think she knew she liked me, and we made it very known. If there's somebody that you like in your professional field, it's okay to let them know.
Yeah.
And let it grow. But I think, don't be shy about it. This might be your catch. You could move from Richmond to DC, and that's what she did.
Yeah.
Nashville
I love it.
is a place to recruit people too.
Yeah, for
There
real.
you
People are
go.
gonna want to go to Nashville.
Yeah. You got some hooks.
Erinn, I was halfway joking with the Vision Expo comment. You go to a trade show like that, and so many people have met at large trade shows.
Yeah.
So true.
The way people speak and the mutual interest that they have in the topic of eyewear. And going to these events and going to these industry events is a great place to meet someone that has a similar vision that you do. That's one. Or another thing is you can always just tour the State Factory. There's plenty of people there. In Chicago.
Yeah, right.
Also, Terrence already runs a speed dating event at
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, that's, yeah.
They're
Please let us moderate it.
They're all married though. All the daters have been married so far. So.
Karen.
We need to have the singles speed dating event, Terrence.
Yeah, and we could all moderate. That would be cool.
There you go.
Seriously, right? We have to
Virtual.
have Vision Expo Love Island.
Yeah. The next reality show.
There you go. There you go. I'm game for it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I should probably, I'll hand it off to Terrence, but I just want to thank you all for being so honest and so amazing and for providing all this insight for everybody. It's so cathartic to talk about it because it's just so real and what's happening for everybody and relationships and business. And so thank you all for your honesty and your candor and for being here today. We really appreciate it. And thanks so much to the audience for joining us. And I'm going to pass it off to Terrence.
This was fun. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Erinn. Thank you, Shapiro. Thank you, Bunyons. Thank you, Mona and Satti. Really appreciate you guys not just opening up about your business, but about your life. And that's something that you don't have to do. And the industry just really loves, to listen to all three of you. I mean, I know all three couples personally and have fallen in love with all three of you couples. Not in a speed dating kind of way, in like a, in a way that I have a high admiration for all of you. And I just love watching the three of you work from afar. And if you ever have an opportunity to learn more of their stories and just go ahead and look at their websites and to even learn more about their businesses, you'll be just as impressed as I have been. So we want to thank all of our audience for being here. Thank you, Erinn, for that amazing job of starting that conversation. Really well done. I want to just say, Eyecare Business Magazine just won the Folio Award yesterday in 2 categories. So congratulations to Erinn Morgan and her team. So,
Thank you, Terrence.
Great.
That's very nice of you to say. We're very proud and very grateful.
Absolutely. That's well-deserved as well. So I'm not sure if we have a poll. If we have a poll coming up today, please get some feedback on the poll. Yep, there it is. It helps us with future eye-to-eye sessions as well. And if there's nothing else, thank you for making time here. And we will see you again on the next Eye-to-Eye. Signing off. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so much fun. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Take
Yep.
care.
That was
Bye-bye.
That was great. And we'll have the YouTube link in about another day. And I'll send it all to all of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please do, and then we'll share it on our social too, Terrence. So did this go on Facebook Live too? Because we can
It
share
does.
that right away.
Share it right away on Facebook Live.
Okay, I'll ask Carrie Ann to get that, to share that.
I'll share it within the 4 Brown Eyes group, Dr. Lamont.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
It'll be there right away.
Hey, thank you for this
Awesome.
invite. This was
Thank
great.
you for the invitation.
Thank you so much. You
Yeah,
too.
thank you,
You
guys.
were amazing.
We were supposed to do this live, remember? This was supposed to be a Vision Expo West, East panel.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah, we were going to do this, but we still will. We will.
We still will. We
Right?
still will. Definitely.
2021.
There you go.
Yes, 2021, yeah.
cry for the world.
I know. Have a good one, guys.
Right. Bye.
Bye-bye.